and go for it.
Yay! Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hi, Trini.
Hi, Abby.
I'm so excited. We get to continue our show. For those of you who do not know us, my name is Abby Isidro, and this is my amazing co-host,
Trinidad Hermida. Nice to meet you all. And we're honored to be here today with you. I think we'll give like a couple of seconds for people to start to stroll in. But while people are strolling in, what games are you playing right now, Abby?
So I actually have taken it back to the old school because I was kind of feeling nostalgic. So, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I have one of the cute little like consoles that has like all of the old school games like on it from Nintendo. And of course, I am just brushing up on my basically my brick breaking skills because I totally forgot how to do that and to fly and all of those things. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
I've been playing Beat Saber on Oculus Quest 2.
Oh, yes.
And Beat Saber, VR chat. There's this new one, and it's like almost like it reminds me of Wii because there's bowling, there's tennis, there's a couple of others in VR. I'm really trying to utilize my Oculus and get acquainted with it because I feel like it's different. Like I'm trying to get used to like the UX and how to navigate it. But
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting until we move to our new place where it has like space so that I can really do Beat Saber because I remember when I got a hold of Beat Saber, obviously when I used to work for Oculus. Mm-hmm. I was all about that game and because I used it as my cardio. So
yes. I do it. I use I have an Apple Watch and there's sometimes I do these challenges with my brother or friends where it's like, let's close all of our rings all week. And then so on days when I haven't been able to go to the gym, I'll turn on my open goal and like I'll play Beat Saber for half an hour and you actually burn calories. It's
yeah, you do. You sweat.
It's pretty intense, especially as you know, what I love is that I'm starting to get better. So I'm able to go up levels. Like I started off with like the basic, like easy, you know, and then I went from easy to what was the next one? What was the next one after easy?
Was it intermediate or
I don't know what the word.
I like
I don't know what the word is, but like now I'm at like on some of the songs, not all the songs. Now on some of the songs I'm on hard. And I'm like, and it's so cool to see the progression and the growth, right? Like,
yes.
And I have my favorite songs. There's a Linkin Park music edition. And it just reminds me of middle school. Like I'll be like, why can't I've never been before. And you're like, I'm like, I can't be. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so like middle school. But I'm just like,
you gotta love it though. You gotta love like the fact that, you know, VR, music. I mean, like even like, you know, now that we've been in lockdown for a good minute, I'm loving all the virtual concerts. I'm really feeling them. Like, you know, it really makes us feel like we're still there together, you know, just in the comfort of a front row in our living room or family room or wherever. Like I'm definitely I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I miss live concerts, don't get me wrong. However, I think that that's like a really great way for us to still stay connected, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about staying connected. The last time we were on live was for Thanksgiving, and
yes.
What have you been up to since Thanksgiving?
Man, let me think. What have I been up to? Well, first and foremost, let's welcome everyone to GGP Together. Thank you everyone for joining us on this Sunday. We are here to celebrate the BIPOC creators and gamers in our community and definitely just, you know, give space to talk about where we see this year going. So back to your question, what was I doing? Okay, so Thanksgiving and Christmas. So definitely took some time to just self-care by the water. So took time to go to Pismo Beach and also Paso Robles. And then, just kind of take like a cruise along the water and just enjoy the scenery, still working, but at least you have a beautiful scenery of the ocean while you do it. For the holidays, I think, we really emphasized on just making sure everyone disconnected, right? Just took a pause, kind of scale back and just really focus on like what they're hoping, what your goals are, personal, professional, what have you, for 2021. So for me, I think definitely laid low during the holidays, did a lot of cooking, a lot of eating, a lot of movie watching, and also wedding planning during a pandemic. That's challenging in itself, but it's been a good experience. I think also I've taken time to just kind of see how to better serve our underrepresented communities, right? Like especially during the holidays. And then as we progressed into 2021, just kind of started looking in to see what can we do to really create positive change, and not just talk about positive change, but create it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I did. Laid low, self-care. How about you?
I've done something similar. I've taken time to just remove myself from the normal circumstances. I mean, I believe that's a privilege to be able just to shut down or work remotely. And thank God I have this privilege of being able to work remotely, because like I'm currently in Washington State and it's just a different scenery than downtown Oakland. So
Yeah.
being able the gyms are open, so being able to swim and work out has been very helpful for my mental health, and to be able to deal with the stress that comes from work and life. And so I've been taking time to do that. So, that's imperative to me, being able to keep going and pouring from an overflowing cup. Since the last conversation we had, I've been able to just reevaluate what is essential for me, what is essential for life, what is what and who and how and all the above, what is really be intentional about my energy and who I exert it with, who I spend it with. I have been on this app called Clubhouse, which is for people who have iPhones.
Yes, people who have iPhones, not
I know.
Android. I'm like, but I heard there's a way for me to figure it out on an iPad, so I'll look into that, because I feel like I'm missing out. I'm like, FOMO for the Clubhouse, man. FOMO.
It's been fun. It's been
fun. Please tell me about it.
With Black and Gaming, we've been hosting weekly rooms to meet and greet other Black developers and creators in this space. It's also helped us to really change and empower our groups outside of that app. So like we have more members in Discord now, we have more members in Facebook and on Twitter. And so we're able to utilize that space to promote and create access, but then also build the community. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, always trying to move people to Discord so that we can have conversations with people who don't have iPhones, and connecting to other people.
Right.
That's been exciting. But yeah, like I've been spending time just reevaluating what my burning platform is this year, and setting my intentions and being a little bit more aware of how I exert my energy.
You know what? I am with you 110% on that one. I think the one thing that I started to realize, especially towards like the end of the year, was that I was really like drained emotionally, physically, mentally, just like everything. Like I was really drained, and it wasn't just one thing that was like draining me, and it wasn't anything specific. I just felt the weight of the world was definitely weighing down on me super heavily, and I was just so tired. Like I was sleeping a lot. Sometimes in like the middle of the day in between meetings, we're getting that screen fatigue. Like it's real. It's real. When you go from one meeting to another, you want to give your whole self, right? And it's sometimes so hard. And, sometimes, especially when I'm talking to the GGP, I'm totally just like open and I'm just saying like, hey guys, just to let you know, like my energy is like, it's depleted, but I'm here and I want to like welcome all thoughts and feelings and everything. But it's really important when you're with an organization that also says like, it's okay not to be okay. You know what I mean? Sometimes we really need to hear that from our family, from our friends, from the organizations that we work with, support, amplify. Like for someone just to sometimes be like, hey, you know what? It's cool. Take your self-care and it's okay. It's okay. If you need to just take a minute and take a breather, it is fine. And I think that that's the one thing that I really wanted to emphasize on, especially going into like the end of the year. And then you're like, oh my God, 2021, what is that going to look like? Because that also added a little bit of added pressure, right? Like, okay, it's a new year. How are we going to make it different than last year? And what do we have control over? What do we not have control over? I think that those were just major questions that were going on in my head, and I just want to hear your thoughts on that one, because you are just super key to like my life in terms of just checking me and just being like, hey, take a break, like completely disconnect and then like let's come back to this, which is really important. Oh, you're on mute.
I think being aware of what may trigger you, microaggressions, just think different things that are going on in the world. I mean, kicking into this year, a lot of people had excitement around possibly the year being on an uptick, excited we had a new president, excited that we are in a new year. Just the new year energy, gets people excited. And then to come into the new year and feel like you're just every month since the beginning of the year, there's been some egregious thing that's been happening, and to make sure that you're not overexerting yourself to the point of you're expensing your emotional well-being and your physical health. And I'm all for like being present and supporting the organizations that we support and like getting on streams like this. But at some point you have to check yourself and say, am I coming from an overflowing cup? And this goes back to like what we were talking about on Thanksgiving. Am I pouring into myself enough that I'm overflowing and giving access to my overflowing cup, which taking the time to really sit with yourself and be like, am I okay? You talk about going on a plane, and every time we get on a plane and we travel, they say, put the air mask on yourself before you put it on the person sitting next to you, or the child, or whoever can't put the mask on themselves. And sometimes when we're in this space of corporate America, or in these groups, or in professional societies, we forget that we have to temperature check and check each other and say, hey, have you put the mask on yourself first? Especially when we're experiencing trauma every single week or day. And I think this would lead into like, Abbie, how are you doing, considering that you have, a whole community in the Bay Area who an uptick in racism and in violent acts have been happening since the beginning of the year? I mean, this has been happening for a long time. I mean, it's systemic, but recently we've been more aware of it. So how has that been for you?
I mean, you were one of the first people I reached out to the other day when I just completely not had a breakdown, but definitely I was just like, the meme of someone just throwing the papers up in the air because they just had it, gave up. I kind of felt like that for that day, just because I mean, if I'm going to use my platform for good, well, here it is. I personally had a situation that happened the beginning of COVID, so last year, so March 2020, where someone I love and adore was assaulted due to them being Asian. I am not going to name names. I'm not even going to name the business. I'm just going to say that it was a major retailer that it happened at. Employees were literally just watching, not doing anything. And as someone who just really loves this person, I was thinking very bad, violent thoughts, obviously. And, you know, as being someone in the space of D&I, you're brought back. You're like, oh my God, I can't say this. I can't do this. I can't act on this. But it's been weighing very, very heavily on me, especially with everything that's happened recently. And the fact that we need to use platforms such as the ones that we have to basically say that hate is a virus. And what is happening to the Asian American community right now is just inhumane, abysmal, disgusting. And we, as all underrepresented communities, have to basically band together and just fight the systematic racism and these despicable acts. I can't even, like, you know, it is such a heavy topic, because when it happens to someone you love and someone could have helped or someone could have done something and nothing was done, and you know, that guilt has been very heavy, like, on my mind, especially with everything that's like happening. But I'm educating myself, as well as educating how I can use my platform and use the space that I'm in for positive change and actually driving, you know, basically making the media aware of all of these things. I love the fact that right now a lot of things are getting shared. You know what I mean? Like, things that are not being shown on major, you know, like news channels or whatever. It's being shared on TikTok, it's being shared on Clubhouse, it's being shared on Instagram. So there's different media platforms that are definitely aware of like what's happening, and we're sharing that as a community. And also other communities are basically standing by, you know, the Asian American like population and being like, hey, we're here, and you know, we get it, and we're not for this either. You know what I mean? So that's really important, I think, for all of us, just to be on the same page that systematic racism is just not okay. Violence against any specific community is just not okay, like, at all. So that's what that's my thoughts on that. How about you? I mean, being in the space, you know, like, you have to also like be there for all underrepresented communities, right? And that can sometimes be very heavy. How are you handling it?
I'm very, just my personality and how I am, I'm very solution focused. Like, so I try to think of ways that we can all come together in solidarity and support communities that are suffering. And so, I mean, I'm always looking for ways to support the people who I love and who I have in my life, but then it goes beyond that to their families, the communities that they live in, and people at my job, and people who I connect with on social media. So just really, I think education is key. I also want to remind people who are being discriminated against to not always be the first to try and teach people how to treat you. Like, heal first. You don't always have to be the one to fix the problem. I'm not saying that not to fix the problem. If this is a passion that you have and something that you have the energy to do, then do it. But at the same time, if you're not taking the time to heal, if you're not taking time to process, you're not taking the time to support your own family and the people in your community before you hit the streets trying to teach and elevate and give people information, you can end up more damage than you expect. And so that part, and I'm a big history person, and I believe history repeats itself a lot. And so being able to go back into history and see when the Black community helped the Asian community back in the day, and by protesting and standing in solidarity, and it's great to see how the Black community now is coming back to still do it. And I know that there's a lot of unpacked trauma in that relationship between Black and Asian Americans, or Asians in general, Black Americans and Asian Americans, or Asians, period. It's just, but even that relationship, we need to take the time to unpack it and understand the lies, the lies that have been passed through generations, and also understand that we have new generations here who have no clue of the history of the solidarity. And so raising awareness around that, and hopefully the communities now are able to see how we're showing up.
Absolutely. And please, I encourage anyone who is actually like watching this on Twitch or on our Discord, please share the different resources that you have about anything when it, to educate our underrepresented communities, whether it be for Asians, whether it be for Blacks, whether it be for Latinx, like, please share. I think that sharing is caring, especially when it comes to fighting the good fight, right? Like, let's all do it together. And as kumbaya as it sounds, like, it just sometimes helps to get all of those resources in front of people and just educate and just help each other, like, learn and grow, from all of it. And hey, look, Trini's the best support system I have when I am, like, literally at my wit's end with certain things. Like, I go to her and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I feel like this today, but then I'm expected to feel like this. And, we are all human and we all basically unpack our thoughts, our feelings, emotions, everything all differently. And it is okay to reach out to, other individuals that you just need to learn from and grow from. And that includes understanding the struggles and the obstacles that other, underrepresented communities are facing. Like right now, like, let's all learn from each other. Okay. So that's my spiel. But, something also that I really wanted us to kind of like unpack today is something that I also went to you for. I think it was like the beginning of this year when I was like feeling pressures, let's just say pressures of what successful looks like, right? Especially for us women in tech. And just women in general. It doesn't have to be women in tech. It could be women in gaming. It can be women in, in music, women in entertainment, anything. Just, there was a day that I had a comment that, I'm not quite successful yet because I don't have kids and I'm not married yet. And, my career seems very like just focused on taking care of others, and I need to take care of myself first. Anyways, like, let's unpack that, like, here on this platform, because I think it's important for us to talk about these things.
So what would be your first question to unpack that?
Like, have you felt like you had to define your success, right? Like, you're successful. I snap my fingers all the time whenever I see your name on anything. You are successful. You are someone that I see as like a mentor. But yet in some societies, right, like, we wouldn't be seen as successful because we don't have children and we're not married. Like, it's like we didn't check off every single freaking box.
Well, what's a fun fact for the viewers is I was married 10 years. I'm divorced. And when you mentioned that topic of what is success, and it brought up a story, and I don't know who this is going to speak to, but at one point I was doing my doctorate of ministry. I have a master's in urban ministry, which is from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. So I am an ordained minister. But when I went on to my doctorate, I was in my third cohort, my third year, and I asked myself a question. I was like, what in this program have I learned that I didn't know already? Right. And I know that this is going to sound very pompous or whatever, but I was struggling to find concepts or modalities that I was learning that would warrant me to continue my degree. And I had to sit back and ask myself, am I doing this so I can be validated? Am I getting this doctorate just so that people can say that I've arrived at the highest level that I can arrive in this field? Do I think people are going to treat me differently or respect me more because I have a doctor in front of my name? And I really had to sit back and think about that and ask myself what my motives were. Because at that time I was probably into my 6th year of marriage, and you get on this train that society tells you, go to school, get your degree, find your significant other, marry said significant other, get a house, have kids. I mean, this is the American, quote unquote, and I say this in quotes, American dream, right? Or the dream that has been set in front of us that most people are striving for, regardless of your race, gender, or background. I think it's a global aspiration in most places. And I had to stop the train and ask myself, why am I on this train? What am I doing to continue to grow as a human and internally reflect, and am I doing this just so I can be validated by external people who really don't matter? They're irrelevant in the grand scheme of what my life is, right? Like, we choose to invite people into our narrative, and those people who we invite, we care about and we consider. But the people outside of that, when you're a public figure or you're someone who manages a group of people, or for example, when I was at a church and I was a worship pastor, like, how much of my life am I doing for their validation versus my own self-love and my own validation and my relationship with God? Am I allowing God to validate me and not just people? And so I really had to take time to unpack that and go through my own insecurities and challenge myself and I quit the program. And I don't expect anybody to do that. If you're in your 3rd year of a doctorate, just complete it. But that was a pivotal part in my life where I realized I needed to do that and walk away from that aspiration because it wasn't serving me as a whole human.
I like that. And I learned something new about you just now. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you feel certain pressures, like not only from obviously like the industry that like you're in, but even like with your support system, you know what I mean? Like being the head of diversity and inclusion, that's a huge feat, right? That sometimes that can take you away from, let's face it, like that can take you away from like time with your loved ones, and you have to travel, and you have to do this and you have to do that, as part of your role. And you should be proud of that. And it's really tough sometimes to be proud of your accomplishments. I know that this sounds silly, but it is tough to be proud of your own accomplishments, especially when you have like certain people saying to you, but you're missing this and you're missing this. So are you really complete? Are you really successful? What would be your advice to someone that hears that on the regular and just kind of feels very just like, oh my God, okay, I want to be in this particular role, but I don't quite fit that mold because I don't feel like I've checked off all the necessary boxes that are expected of me?
I think sometimes it warrants having a conversation with the people who quote unquote expect it of you, that you care about. And sorry, the dog's barking outside. But I would consider like the people who are essential in your life. Like if you have a strong belief or feeling that your direction should go in a certain direction that's countercultural or counter to what like society says, or counter to what your family's beliefs may be, it depends on how much you love your family. If you really care, sit down with your family and let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm focused on during this season, and I'm okay with it, and give them the foundation, and invite them into your story, invite them into the journey with you, instead of just assuming that, like, hey, they're going to hate it and they're going to tell me no. Like, try the conversation. I think a lot of people don't have tough conversations, and society has warranted us to just have this either cancel culture or ghost culture, or the culture of just ignoring something that's imperative and just walking away, versus if you really truly care about the people, they're part of your forever life, and you've added them to that small said group. Why not have that tough conversation and welcome them into the journey so that they can grow through this process as well?
Right. So let me just give everyone a background on why I asked that question. So basically, like I said, Trini and I are really close. She's like a mentor to me. There was a day that basically I felt like I did really well in the career sector. So, I posted a few things, just some really great accolades that, like companies and organizations I've been affiliated with, like, accomplished. And there was basically a comment to someone in my family that, oh, but she doesn't have kids and she doesn't have a husband, so she's not really successful yet. And it's like, whoa, hold up, and then, that conversation kind of stems some things that got me thinking, like, oh my God, how many other women are feeling the way that I'm feeling right now? Like they're kick-ass, women in tech, in gaming, in whatever industry they're in, and they travel on their own, they see the world, they just have such a great understanding of, like, all these different communities, and they're very, like, involved in so many different things, and that, in my eyes, is successful. But because they're not married or have children, it's as if it's not validated that they're successful. So this was a conversation that I had with Trini because I was feeling some kind of way. Because I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at, and I'm very proud of where I've gotten to. And it's not to boast or, toot my own horn or anything. It's for me to amplify the voices of women who feel day in and day out like, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but no, I don't have a husband. No, I don't have children. Yes, I travel on my own. And they are just stigmatized all the time. Like, maybe you'll be more successful in life if you didn't focus on your career so much, so then you could get a husband and have kids and not travel by yourself. But let me tell you, traveling by yourself is a lot of fun. Everything's all on your terms. You get to see the world. You get to see everything all on your own terms. So it was something that I never thought, like, oh, I'm by myself. I wanted to be by myself. I needed to find myself in order to get to the career that I'm at. So, yeah. To those watching this and who are like, oh, I said that to her, I chose not to have children. I am getting married, finally, after finding the right person. I did not settle. I was single for, a good 5 years, finding myself, really, really getting to know who I am and what I want in life. I feel like I am successful. So, to answer your question, that's my choice. And if you like it or not, I don't care.
That's the beauty of growth. I'm not saying that, like, growth equals do not care, but growth does equal standing up for your beliefs and being able to defend why you made the decisions that you made, and be confident in that those decisions that you made are imperative to who you want to be, who you want the world to see, and to know that you know, society and media portrays a certain message, but that doesn't mean that just because that's the majority of how media portrays what we're supposed to be or strive to be, doesn't mean that that's your story and your contribution to this world. Your contribution might be going against the status quo. Your contribution might be raising awareness to communities that may have traditional thinking on how you're not poo-pooing on your culture or the traditional thinking. You're just educating on your experience in the grander scheme of things, because the world is not how it was 100 years ago. The world is not how it was 50 years ago. And I mean, the world isn't how it was a year ago. Like we're in a global pandemic, and we're now forced to interact virtually more than normal. We're now forced to reevaluate what our burning platform is and how to navigate the world that we're living in now. And that might mean some people have to pivot. Some people have to change how they're doing things, or change their living situation, or change the people who they've surrounded themselves with, because now they've had the opportunity to really sit by themselves and reflect and ask themselves, number one, am I happy? Am I fulfilled with my work, my life, my love? Am I serving my purpose here? You know, and I'm one of the hopeful believers that everybody on this earth has a purpose, regardless of their race, background, gender, socioeconomic background. Like, this is something that we all are created for a purpose. We're here on this earth to impact it in some form or fashion. And so if you take the time to reflect and think about that through this global pandemic, I'm not saying that most people have the opportunity to pause. I mean, some are just trying to survive. Like, God bless all the people in Texas right now that are suffering. I heard that the weather is getting a little warmer, so hopefully like things are starting to let up, but like global warming is a thing, you know. The world that we live in is constantly changing. And I'm in this space where I'm like, how are we gonna contribute to that this world that we're taking from, right? And like to every energy exchange, there's another energy exchange, and somehow we're all in this world together, and we're the ebbs and flows of how we're moving and shaking all matters. And so I just think that, you know, don't assume that because someone, I mean, I've even seen on social media, like, don't assume or don't ask that friend, like, hey, when are you having kids? You know, because you don't know, number one, if they've tried to have kids, if they've had miscarriages in their life, or if they're even able to have kids. And that might be a bone of contention. That might be insecurity to that family. And and every time you say something like that, you're opening that wound. So just making sure that we're being aware, and that we're not microaggressing people through because of our bias or our ignorance.
Right. No, and that is so true. I think that that's like a really great message, especially to everyone, especially in the communities that we serve, BIPOC, creators and gamers, and just creatives in general. I know that there's a lot of people that ask, like, you know, what are X, Y, and Z that I need to do to get to this role? My advice to anyone who's trying to get into anything, if you're passionate about it, do whatever you can to carry out that passion. Like, don't let society take you back. Don't let people who are expecting you to fail to basically just continue to put all these negative thoughts and feelings in you for you like not to proceed. I think that this pandemic has definitely opened our eyes to see the people who are really there for you. And I'm not talking about physically being there for you, because none of us can be physically there for each other, like really on the same level that we used to be. Things are different. The world is different. And this pandemic should have opened your eyes to see who's really, truly supporting you, loving you, hyping you up, and just encouraging you to be the best you that you can be. And I know that that's something that I've had to, definitely really, really take in. And as tough as that is, because I'm the type of person that I wish everyone that comes into my world like loves me and I love them back, in the same capacity. It's just, sometimes you either grow apart or you're just not in that same wavelength anymore. And this pandemic has definitely shown that. But, what I want to say to anyone that is just really passionate about something, passionate about a role, passionate about a company, passionate about an organization, let that drive you every day. Don't let the naysayers like tell you any different. Push yourself every single day to basically push you one foot forward to where you need to go. It doesn't matter what your background is, the color of your skin, your age, your race, any of that. It should be based on your passion, your talent, your skill set, and continue to push for that. That's like that's what it comes down to. And if ever there's days that you need that extra support, that's what the GGP is here for. And and all the other amazing organizations that like we work with within our community, let our community amplify you, support you, and however which way we can. That's what we're here for.
So on that note, I think on a lighter note, what are you looking forward to this year? What would be something that you already either have planned, a trip or an event? And then also like what's your goals for this year?
My goals for this year, I want to say that my goals are still very much to contribute to the positive change that I tried and still set forth in 2020. And by what I mean by that is creating programs and events and experiences in a virtual world that is still connecting us in some capacity. Like that will still be my goal. I definitely feel that the GGP has helped out in amplifying the voices that are necessary to be in the room with the different events that we have and the different panels that we have. So I'm really excited for the 2021 events that are, that are like happening and that are being created and developed. And personally, for me, I'm excited about getting married. I don't really care, pandemic or not. I am definitely getting married, even if it's just me, him, and our reverend. So that's something that I'm definitely like looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing all communities come together, especially us fighting this pandemic, together. The vaccines are rolling out. That's another thing too, everyone. We will get our vaccines, but we need to make room for the people who absolutely need it. And another thing too is don't post on social media that you got the vaccine when you know you shouldn't have gotten the vaccine, because it's just mean. And let's not do that. Let's not be negative when it comes to like a positive thing such as this vaccine. And I'm just like, I'm looking forward to traveling again. I do not know where, but I want to travel.
Okay.
How about you? What are you looking forward to? And what are your goals? And where are you traveling to next?
What I'm looking forward to is continuous learning about myself. Like I'm really enjoying this season of unpacking trauma, unpacking the good, the bad, and the ugly, and being able to really dig deep into a space of true unconditional love for myself. And so that's number one. Continued growth with my relationship with God. Number two. Number three, continuing to learn. I'm a student of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So continuing to dive into learning more about my craft and my field, raising awareness around the disparities in the industry. So working with Black in gaming, working with gay gaming professionals, working with Latinx in gaming, working with game devs of color, working with POC and Play, working with game heads in Oakland. Like, I mean, there's so much going on in this space. And so making sure that I help to elevate and raise awareness around the organizations that are making a difference and impacting. I too love to travel, so hopefully I'll be able to take a local trip or something safe and social distance for my birthday in April. So I'm trying to do something for that. But then also taking time to myself, like just because we can't go somewhere physically doesn't mean that I may not need to take a day off of work here and there just to reset. So utilizing my vacation time, you know, so taking time out for that, and continuing to not fall off the bandwagon of my health journey. So like, you know, sometimes on the weekends I go crazy because I have a break and I'm like, oh, I want that, or I want that. And so, so just, you know, taking on days or weekends when I have a bad weekend, just resetting throughout the week and getting back on track and focusing. So that's that. And just being open to love in the new year. I, you know, being that, like, not being closed off to opportunities that might be in front of me, but also being wise. Also being wise, because I don't play that. Like, I don't like foolery. So like making sure that I am open but wise, and then seek understanding in like all the different things in my life. I love my family. I love my brother that I get to stay with. I love Tyson the dog. I love Niantic. I love working with you and all the different organizations. So just making sure that I have a yin yang balance of life at this time, as crazy as it is. I truly believe that I'm on this thing called an adventure. And my life is an adventure, and I know that my life isn't like any other person in the world. So enjoying the adventure and being present.
Yes, I love that. If you could travel anywhere right now, like, you know, not even worried about COVID or anything, where would you want to go? Like, if you could travel anywhere.
So I miss Japan. So I actually was thinking about, prior to moving to Washington to stay with my brother, I was thinking about going to Japan and just staying the pandemic out there until things start to open up. But Japan's on lockdown and they're not letting foreigners in, so I can't go there. But I would love to be in Japan. I love the food. I mean, I don't know how my waist would be, but like I love the
seafood. Just, you know.
No, the ramen, the rice, the sushi,
oh man,
all of the above. So just
that sounds amazing. I really did want to go to Japan too. I just, you know, I had so many plans. Like, I was supposed to go to London, I was supposed to go to Singapore, and I definitely had plans to eat and drink and, you know, also do the programming that we need to do there. But then, you know, COVID happened, and then I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe 2021. That's probably not going to happen either. But the next place that I dream of traveling to is the Maldives. Like, I just want an overwater bungalow for like a week.
I don't know if I should tell you then.
What?
Oh, I'm going to the Maldives for the 4th of July.
What? Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. Well, actually, I'm probably going to ask you like which resort and everything. Oh, like, no, I heard there's, well, like zero to a very low number of COVID cases because they're very meticulous about who comes into the Maldives. So that is something I was like, ooh, okay. But now for me, I'll wait till 2022. But I will live vicariously through you, hopefully in July.
Oh yeah, I mean,
is it an overwater bungalow?
Yeah, so it's me, my brother, and we're celebrating. That's our version of celebrating our birthdays in April. We're gonna go
That's
somewhere
awesome.
local in April, but like
Okay.
we're really celebrating in the Maldives in July, and we're gonna take the test and make sure that we don't have COVID. And
Right.
the fun fact is that prior to going to the Maldives, because we're flying out of San Francisco, we're gonna go to Napa.
Yes. I have so many places to refer you to. I love Napa. Like Napa is a great way to escape within an hour of like where I am. So that's the reason why like I go there a lot. There in Carmel and Monterey.
Well, I love Monterey. So fun fact is I was raised in the Monterey Bay Area. So I went to high school at North Salinas High School in Monte Vista. And so my family, my father was in the military, which Fort Ord is now CSUMB, which is a college, but it was a military base. And so that's how we ended up in Monterey from New York. But yeah, so I mean, you're welcome to social distance with us at the wineries in June, but I'm not sure if that will be open either. So we're definitely taking it one step at a time.
That's what we got to do every day. I've learned that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know we're wrapping up here. Do you want to share like how some people can get in contact with you, and then I'll do the same?
Yes. So I am on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn/Fairy Love Mother. I used to be the Fairy Job Mother when I was in recruiting, and I was like Fairy Love Mother because I want everyone to love each other and also love all the underrepresented communities and love amplifying voices. Okay, anyways, so yeah, so LinkedIn, Fairy Love Mother, and then you can also find me on Instagram. It's XO Abolitious XO. I'm also on Facebook. That's public. And Twitter is Abbie Isidro.
Awesome. Well, if you'd like to get in touch with me, if it's centered around mentorship, business, game industry, you can hit me up on LinkedIn, Trinidad Hermida, or Twitter, this is Trini, or Instagram, this is Trini. On Twitch, it's Trinidad Hermida. On Discord, it's this is Trini. This is Trini is everything. So like literally this is Trini.com or TrinidadHermida.com. You can find me there. And I am open to answer questions or help, or if I don't know the answer, or if I'm not available, I'm always big on forwarding information and at least giving you information to the different communities that I mentioned earlier so that you can get involved. But yeah, I guess for the last about 4 minutes, Abbie, what we talked about what games we played earlier. What is your favorite quarantine activity?
Ooh. Okay, I mean, like, I love Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of that, but honestly, I've gotten really good at cooking in lockdown. Like, I've had to get creative. I kind of went keto, but it was like a dirty keto. But I had to get creative with like healthier recipes and things like that. And I also noticed that I was spending like a lot on going out to eat, but there's not a lot of going out to eat. So I've definitely found comfort in cooking. In the comfort of like my home, and then just trying out new recipes. So every Saturday, Joel and I actually cook a Disney dish and we pair it with a Disney movie. So because we miss Disney so much. So yeah, so that has definitely been my quarantine activity of choice.
And when I think about my quarantine activity of choice, I would say I just like reading, relaxing, and like enjoying the weather. So in the PNW, it's been chilly, but my brother has like a fire pit. So sometimes we'll put fire in the fire pit and we'll just like relax outside. I love playing Beat Saber. Anybody on Oculus Quest, please add me. This is Trini, same thing on everything. I also like I like Clubhouse. I think Clubhouse is fun when I'm like bored and wanting to connect, and movies. So that's
okay. Last 2 minutes. Okay, top 3 shows and top 3 movies you've watched in quarantine. Go.
Top 3 shows. So top 3 movies is I watched Lupin, not movies, shows. Lupin, the show that talks about Thor before Thor became Thor.
Okay, I don't know, but please educate me on that when you do have the name, because I'm sure I'm gonna have to watch that.
I think those are the only 2, right? Oh, and then movies I watched Defending Jacob on Apple Plus.
I heard that one's good.
That's a show. That's a 3rd show. So
that's okay. Well, shows or movies, that's fine.
So that's Defending Jacob was really good. I actually watched that in like one full day. I watched the whole series. And then movies, I just watched one which is like I'm Here to Help or something like that, and it's about a lady who cons like
oh my god, I heard that is like so good. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Now you have 1 minute. You have 1 minute.
Oh my god, Bridgerton, and then Lupin, of course, is like amazing. And then actually the documentary on Hotel Cecil in LA is really good. So that's a good one too. And oh my god, I've been watching a lot of old movies. So yesterday I watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and I had no idea that it was here in San Francisco. So that is a fun fact for you. And now we are at time. Look at that, just on time.
Well,
oh my god, it was amazing.
I want to say thank you everybody for joining us for another edition of Real Talk with Abbie and Trini. And please hit us up. Add us on social media and follow Gay Gaming Professionals on all of the platforms. And we will be in touch with you soon. Take care, everybody.